Beaten by a Balloon by Margaret Mahy and illustrated by Jonathan Allen. "Dad," said Sam Appleby, as they strolled down Snapper Street, "when we get home will you make me a sword?" "A sword?" cried Mr. Appleby. "Never! No violent toys in our family." "But Dad," begged Sam, "Mr. Mackey made Hacky Macky a sword with a red jewel stuck on the handle, and Hacky's already got a plastic dagger, as well as a slingshot and a laser gun." "Sam, I'm not giving you swords or laser guns," said Mr. Appleby sternly. "Your mother and I devote our lives to gentle, kindly things like ballooning and growing roses and sunflowers. We hope you'll do the same." "Oh, I like sunflowers and balloons," said Sam, "but I wouldn't mind having a sword as well." "Hey, Apple Tree!" a mocking voice called out, and there was Hacky Macky himself. He was prancing in front of his house, waving a sword in one hand and a plastic laser space gun in the other. "I'm going to catch Buckbounder the bank robber," yelled Hacky Macky. "I'll win the reward and buy a photon cannon and shoot pieces off the moon. How about that, Apple Tree?" And Hacky made the sound of a laser gun being fired over and over again at hideous aliens. Mr. Appleby ignored Hacky Macky. "Hideous!" "I'll buy you a sunflower of your very own at the stall," he promised Sam. The stall was on the corner of Nashing Road and Cruncher Avenue. It sold almost everything: teddy bears, sunflowers, balloons, water pistols, red and white roses, pots of marmalade and chocolate cakes. "Dad," pleaded Sam, "couldn't I buy just one little water pistol?" "No violent toys in our family," said his father, "but you may buy a balloon, and I will buy a chocolate cake for your mother as well as the sunflower I promised you." As the woman behind the stall handed Sam a beautiful sunflower in a terracotta pot, a mocking voice called, "Ha ha, Apple Tree!" And there was Hacky Macky wandering past with his father. He aimed his laser gun at the sunflower. "Stop that, Hacky," said Mr. Mackey with a smirk. "Poor people, you'll frighten them." The woman in charge of the stall sold the Applebys a balloon, a sunflower and a chocolate cake. She also gave Sam a present of one red rose, its thorny stem wrapped in green tissue paper. "Now you have a sunflower and a rose," said Mr. Appleby, looking pleased, "but I've spent all my money. We'd better call in at the bank." Turning into Nashing Road Bank, Mr. Appleby and Sam found themselves waiting in a long line. Directly in front of them were Hacky Macky and his father. "Look, Dad, 2 apple trees," said Hacky Macky. Mr. Mackey looked over his shoulder and laughed. Mr. Appleby felt just for a moment that if only he had a good plastic sword handy, he could soon have made Mr. Mackey laugh on the other side of his face. Suddenly the door of the bank burst open. "Hands up!" cried a rough voice. "Ha ha ha! It is I, Buckbounder, and this is a bank robbery." Buckbounder bounced into the bank, waving his bank robber's gun and leaping like a kangaroo on powerful springs welded to the bottom of his boots. On these springs he could bound across barriers and through back gardens where no police wagon could go. Powerful! Bound! Barriers! "Give me all your money," he hauled. "Give it to me now." Glancing scornfully at Sam's sunflower, he then turned to glare suspiciously at Hacky Macky's laser gun. "Glancing!" "And here's my laser gun," wept Hacky Macky. "Take it, take it." At that moment, Sam burst a thorn into his balloon. Bang! The balloon exploded right behind the bank robber. Buckbounder leaped into the air from sheer shock. Losing control of its powerful springs, his head hit the ceiling, his gun flew out of his hand. Powerful! And he fell backwards with a painful thump. Mr. Appleby promptly struck him in the face with the full force of the chocolate cake. Ugly! As Buckbounder writhed on the floor, blinded by the icing and with cake blocking his hairy nostrils. Sam slid his sunflower out of the terracotta pot and then he jammed the pot over the villain's head, painfully pinching his large ears. While Buckbounder whooped and gasped, trying to get his head out of the pot and the cake out of his nose, the bank teller pressed the alarm button. Two policemen, led by Sergeant Sidcup from the Nashing Road force, which happened to be right next door, rushed in with handcuffs. Pulling the pot rather roughly off Buckbounder's head, Sergeant Sidcup passed it back to Sam. Brave boy, he cried, shaking Sam's hand. And you were quick thinking too, sir. I could never have imagined such masterly assault by chocolate cake. We were only pretending to be terrified out of our wits, cried Hacky Macky, rising shakily from his knees. Weren't we, Dad? Never have I heard of anyone being so quick with a potted plant, Sergeant Sidcup said, ignoring the Mackies. Repot that sunflower, sir, and keep it watered, and you'll be able to use it again if you're attacked by gangsters. And call in at the police station next door. We'll give you each a medal and a large reward as well. Dad, I want a sunflower too, Sam heard Hacky whining as he and his father slunk out of the bank, but his father told him to shut up. Both Mackies wailed and fell to their knees. Tearing the green tissue paper from the prickly rose stem, Sam moved quickly behind Buckbounder's back. Here's my watch and the parking meter money, cried Mr. Mackey. Take them. Beaten by a balloon, cried Buckbounder as the two policemen swept him out of the bank. Buckbounder beaten by a beastly balloon. I can't believe it. Dad, you were really violent with that chocolate cake. Does that mean a cake can be a dangerous weapon? Sam asked his father in a puzzled voice next day. Mr. Appleby thought deeply, as fathers do. Well, he said, I suppose it depends on who happens to be holding what and when. So perhaps, after all, I should buy you a small water pistol. Great, cried Sam, grinning from ear to ear. I'll use it to water my sunflower.